All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Don't look now, but after being one of the bigger disappointments of the first half of the Major League Baseball season, suddenly the Seattle Mariners are living up to their preseason hype. The Mariners are 24 and 11 since the All Star break, which includes winning their last six, which in itself includes sweeping the defending World Series champion Houston Astros in their own park this weekend. The M's are rolling, and because of that, they've been able to make up ground in a hurry in the standings. Overall, the Mariners recently have beaten the teams that they've needed to beat this month, as they have series wins over the Toronto Blue Jays, Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Angels, and Astros. As these are some of the teams that they're battling with for the postseason race in the American League. Seattle has now caught the Blue Jays for the final wild card spot in the American League, while they're now just 3 games behind the Texas Rangers for first place in the AL West. All star outfielder Julio Rodriguez has been a one man wrecking crew as he came into play today, hitting 425 with 4 home runs and 22 runs batted in this month. Seattle has one of the better pitching staffs in the American League, second in TMRA, third in opponents' batting average, and they've allowed the fewest walks. You think of the likes of Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, and George Kirby, just to name a few in that rotation for the Mariners. And of course, as the Mariners have caught fire, one of the questions is going to be, will they be able to keep this momentum going for them? And I think they will, because I'll tell you like this right now, they're playing some of the best baseball around the league, period. They've beaten good teams. And when you beat the good, first of all, when you win games, you gain confidence. But when you beat the good teams, you definitely gain even more confidence. And I mean, their biggest setback, if you want to call it a setback so far in the second half of the season, was probably losing 2 out of 3 at the beginning to the Detroit Tigers, losing 2 out of 3, or splitting rather with the Minnesota Twins, but then coming back, beating the Twins in another series a couple of days later, and then losing 2 out of 3 to the Baltimore Orioles. But and the Orioles, I mean, you lose a series to the Orioles. I mean, this there's really no harm in that from the standpoint that Baltimore's playing some darn good ball themselves. But again, going out there and beating Boston, beating Toronto, beating the Angels, and that, I know that the Angels are a sub 500 team right now, but this is like the Angels right in the mix to try to get to the postseason themselves, and that was fresh off of their moves at the trade deadline. So you can't knock them for that. And then coming back and what they did this weekend in Houston versus the Astros cannot be overlooked. They got a soft spot in their schedule coming up, and Seattle really excuse me, needs to take advantage of that. They've got 3 in Chicago this weekend with the White Sox, and then next weekend they're going to be home for the Kansas City Royals, which is then followed by a 3-game set at home with the Oakland Athletics. 9 games, they got to try to go at least 7-2 over that stretch. Excuse me. But then after that, they got a road trip coming up to begin September, a very crucial road trip. They're in New York for 3 with the Mets, and ever since that the Mets had that fire sale, their young guys are playing tough. So you can't really, just look at their record and think you're going to win. You got to go out there and take care of your business. Then after that, 3 in Cincinnati with the Reds, and then 4 in Tampa Bay with the Rays. And of course, the Rays are always a perennial playoff team. From there, we're talking about 3 at home with the Angels, and then 3 at home with the Dodgers. And then you look at the last 10 games for the Mariners, 7 with the Rangers and 4 with the Astros. So they're far from being out of the woods with this thing, but you definitely have to like the ground that they made up. And typically, when I've talked about, the Major League Baseball season this year, obviously with the quote unquote balanced schedule, it leaves out, or it has left out room, as much room, to try to make up ground in your division. But if you're Seattle, you have a golden opportunity in the final 2 weeks of the season to really, make some hay and try to win the American League West. And luckily for them, here in the second half. They've played a lot of contending teams that they're battling with in the American League for the postseason race. Again, I'll just change the subject very quickly. As far as that balanced schedule, I would prefer to see less interleague games and more games. If you're gonna not gonna do it within the division, at least do it within the league, because these are the series that really matter in the postseason picture. But nonetheless, getting back to the Seattle Mariners, they have made up some ground in a hurry. This team is rolling right now. I don't see them slowing down as far as taking a big step back and getting, being close to 500 again. The Mariners, I think they've got it going. I think they finally figured it out. A solid lineup, a solid pitching rotation, and they have the star capability. Julio Rodriguez is the real deal. We know that. And he's a guy that in his brief MLB career has shown that he can put a lineup on his back for quite some time. Just look at what he's doing so far in this month. But the Mariners are rolling right now. I think they're going to continue to do some damage down the stretch, and that damage more than likely will carry over into October baseball for them once again. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take the time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.